outsider, Rory Stewart, just scraped through to the next round. He joins us now from central London. I say scraped through, but you got there. You got there. Was it a surprise to you? Because there are rumours you'd already written your concession speech and had it in your top pocket.
It's definitely a surprise. I started as the 100-to-1 outsider, and really, I've got here on the back of the public. It's the opinion polls showing that I'm beginning to reach out through walking around the country, talking to the public, that's brought me through, and particularly on that morning, the fact that now I'm second amongst Conservative Association members behind Boris that helped me across the line. And I've got to keep communicating that to members of Parliament, that really, in the end, this is about the public.
But of course, until you get down to the last two, it's not about the public, isn't it? And the reality is you can have all the support from party members, but unless you get those MPs to vote for you, Rory, when it comes down to it, you're not even going to get the chance to use that influence.
You've put your finger on it, but in the end, of course, these members of Parliament need to win their seats. They need to win a general election, and this is a democracy. So, provided I can keep getting that public support behind me and showing that there is a way of communicating politics, there is a way of listening to people, there is a way of doing a better politics in this country, and get that message through to the MPs, I can get into that last two, and actually I believe I can beat Boris.
And you certainly got people listening. I mean, when you came out and launched your bid, people were very impressed. People liked you. People thought you had charisma, and you seemed to be really getting it across. But you were also getting it across to other parties. The Lib Dems have complimented you, and your position seems out of kilter with the rest of the Tory party.
In order to win an election, we need to get all sorts of people voting for us. I don't want a politics which is just stuck in party silos. I'm really proud of the fact that people who voted Lib Dem or Labour in the past say that they would vote Conservative if I became leader. It's not something to be ashamed of, it's something to be proud of, because I want a country that's united, that comes together. And of course we have to deliver Brexit and beat, I'm afraid, Nigel Farage in the elections, but we've also got to reach out to the centre ground of politics and reach out above all to young people. And the thing I'm most proud of in this race is that I'm leading the other candidates on 18 to 45-year-olds. And of course, those are the future voters for this country and the future of this country.
One of the things that people say is making people think that Boris Johnson is so far ahead, and he certainly is if you look at the votes and the ballot last night, is that he's very clear on his position on Brexit. And in all this muddle, clarity seems to be what people want. Whereas it's rather more unclear what your position is. Are you pushing to have basically Theresa May's deal back on the table? Because I think we all know that is dead. And if not, what is your solution?
Okay, this is the central question in the whole race. The problem with the kind of clarity that you say Boris has is that there's no detail to it. All he's doing is saying, I'm going to deliver Brexit. He's not telling you how to do it. I'm trying to be straight with people, which is that we live in a parliamentary democracy. The only way of getting Brexit through is through Parliament. There's no magic to it. It's about getting from 270 votes to 315 votes. That's about my getting a mandate from the Conservative Party members so I can get Conservative MPs who didn't vote for it before to vote for it. And it's about getting moderate Labour MPs who say they're committed to Brexit, don't want a second referendum to vote for it.
We know that's the challenge. Now, that's always been the challenge. But how do you think that you can do it? I would imagine Theresa May saying that, and she didn't manage to either.
You're absolutely right. Because we live in a parliamentary democracy, all of us have to accept that nobody, not me nor Boris, has a magic wand to get Brexit through. We have to bring Parliament with us. So the real question is, am I more likely than Boris to be able to get it through? And I think I'm more likely to get it through quickly, because I'm not pretending that you can go to Europe and renegotiate a different deal. I think people potentially could waste months trying to do that. I'm not pretending that you could get a no deal through Parliament, because it's very clear there's no majority for that. I'm starting from day one, working with the facts as they are, and working with members of Parliament to be straight with them. Okay. And also remember that after the European elections, both Conservative and Labour MPs got a real shock. They realised that they have to deliver Brexit, and that will change something.
I'm not sure it was that much of a shock, was it, Rory, to be fair? I think everybody expected the Conservatives and Labour to get a bit of a hiding, which is exactly what did happen. That wasn't a shock. It was just the fact that they'd got into that position in the first place. The Conservative chairman of the Muslim Forum has said today that he will quit the Tories if Boris Johnson becomes the leader. After 36 years of being in the party, Mohammed Amin says Boris is not sufficiently moral to be Prime Minister. He is a buffoon. What do you make of those comments from Mohammed Amin, a man who's been part of your party for 36 years?
Well, I think it's important for me that I get out of individual attacks on Boris. I want to try to bring this party together. I want this to be about ideas.
Do you think he's sufficiently moral to be the leader?
I disagree with his Brexit policy, but I don't believe in looking into politicians' souls. I believe in challenging them on their policies. I want straight answers to questions.
Well, what we've heard Boris say in the past, though, Rory, some of the more outspoken things that Boris has said in the past have certainly not been straight, and they've certainly been very offensive to huge swathes of the population, particularly Muslim community, with his comments about letterboxes. I mean, obviously that's something that you would have an opinion of, and this is a key part of this, that this is the man that could well be the leader. I know you want to challenge him and you feel like you can beat him, but at the moment he is way, way ahead. That is a key part of it. Is he sufficiently moral to be the leader of the Conservatives and of this country?
I do not want, as his rival in the race with 5 weeks to go, to be making moral judgments about Boris's character, nor his about mine. Who has the character to run the country best? Who's going to get Brexit done in the most honest and straightforward way? And above all, who can bring people with them? How do we get politics to excite people again? How do we reach out to the public? How do we reach out to young people? How do we begin very slowly, because it's going to take years, to rebuild the shattered trust of this country?
Okay.
Because I'm very, very sorry to say Parliament feels broken, government feels broken, and we're going to have to do a heroic job if we're to get the public to believe in politicians again.
It's a valiant effort, and I'm sure you're going to fight on. If Boris Johnson does win, would you serve under him? Or would you leave?
No, I wouldn't do that. I wouldn't do that. No.
We've heard as well that there are a few of your colleagues and fellow rivals talking about discussing an alliance, plotting together to try and maybe find a way of beating Boris. Have you started thinking about that, creating an alliance with some of the other contenders as a means of garnering enough support to stay in the race?
I can't do that because I'm running on the back of public support. I feel I have a huge obligation to. More than 1,000 people, for example, have sent donations into my campaign. I had nearly 40,000 people watching me live streams. I've had 57 million social media views. So I'm trying to represent a new way of doing politics. And I owe it to people who believe this country can be a different place, that we can do politics in a different way. So I'm not going to try to do shady backroom deals in order to get a job in the cabinet. I'm in the cabinet already. What I'm about is changing politics.